Welcome to the first. You have a story. If you look back on your life, you've done things for the first time that no one in your family, in your town, in the country has done. This is Dr. Sandi. You have unknowingly paved the way for others without knowing it or even acknowledging it. This is where you tell your story so that those who come after you can walk in your footsteps to build their own firsts. Hey, everybody. What an amazing conversation Tanesha Butler and I had. It was so rich that we broke it up into two parts. If you haven't listened to part one, I think it's worth taking a listen to so that you can fully pick up on part two. In part one, Tanesha discussed homeschooling her son, and here she continues the conversation of her other firsts. Here is Tanesha Butler. Today I'm speaking with Tanesha Butler, and I thought the conversation was so good that I'm recording. So Tanesha, let's just talk generally before I get specific. Move back from to home from college. Tell me about that.
Sandi, I was so determined to leave. I saw I saw my sister leave and get married and come back and the revolving door several times, no problem. I believe it's great that people have children, adult children have those parents to fall back on if they need to, if you get out and test the waters of life and you come back if you need to. It's good to have that safety net. My brother, the same. He left several times, came back several times. Once again, for myself, I'm learning. I'm learning. No, I'm not coming back. No, I'm not. No, I like I said, I wanted more. And I believe it's also the venturer that God has just placed on the inside of me, a part of who I am. I I need big. I need more. I need better. Not to say, definitely not to be confident in where you are and appreciative of where you are. However, not necessarily asking the question of why, but the question is why not?
Right.
Can I have it? I can. I can do this.
Now, did you see, you said you didn't really so much as have a mentor. Did you see other people that you said, that person never went back home? Or so and so, why can't I do this? Did you ever look at anyone else to say, that's a good role model for you?
Um, I would say as far as basing the majority of my decisions off of thinking of that person, I would say no. However, I think it's typical and natural for us to even, for our minds to try to find that person. One person I can think of in particular is a cousin, a first cousin, my mom's sister's son. I heard the stories. I mean, I knew him. I mean, I know him.
Yeah.
However, he was so much older than I. He's the first that I could think of that I would actually say was successful in my family. And he's probably at least about 10 years, if not plus, older than I. However, we didn't grow up together. Of course, our family is very close knit. Holidays, but when he left, he left. He went to Alabama State University and he excelled in everything he did. But I heard the stories where they said sometimes he would be in college and would be hungry and didn't have money. And he said he would just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. You wake up the next morning, you won't be hungry. You're fine. You just get so he's one person that I can say that my mind has come back to over the years and throughout the process, some where because I didn't see his story. I just kind of heard some of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's enough to kind of hold
Yes,
on to, give you some hope or some that extra oomph that you may need.
Yes,
However,
it is.
Yes. So as far as with leaving, I was so determined though that I had to get out of there that I wasn't coming back. No matter what I had to do. I called and told my mom about the cockroaches and everything in my dorm, that we didn't have hot water and she didn't come. And I thought, you know what, girl, you got to figure this thing out because you can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
I went to administration and I asked, what do I need to do to get into one of those honors dorms? Because they look really nice.
Yeah.
And there are only two of them, two to a room. That's it. And they told me what I had to do. And that next semester, I was in an honors dorm. I qualified. I did what I needed to do. And I never left the honors dorm until I graduated. I stayed in that same room.
Bravo.
Until I graduated. So I made sure I didn't go back. I sold back. I visited back, but I never moved back. I was determined to leave there. And for me in that season in my life, I couldn't put it into words, but it was the mindset of where I was from.
Mindset is
People.
everything.
Yes. And I was not saying that I was nowhere near better than anybody there, but when I saw opportunities, I went for them. And I was just determined to not to stay. Like I remember when I grew up dancing. I love dancing. That's my passion.
Yes, yes, me too.
And with that, I remember walking to school. I had a best friend that will walk with us every morning as well. However, she came from the opposite direction. But we would have to meet halfway. After my brother went to junior high and I was still in elementary, we would meet halfway and finish walking together. And I remember in second grade, it's just amazing. I know it was literally just wisdom that God has given me. And in second grade, I was excited. I told her I got my application for cheerleading and I was going to try for cheerleading. And she told me, she said, well, I don't think you would make it. And I said, well, why? Why don't you think I'll make it?
Yeah.
And she was a cheerleader. She said, well, I don't think you would be good enough for it. You would make it. I said, oh, okay. Well, I thought, well, she's on the team, so she would know.
Oh,
but then another part of me kind of thought, because I can go deep into thought. That's probably how I got to get out of stuff. And I thought, wait a minute, she's never seen me cheer. How would she know that I can't do it? And I thought, well, you know what? I don't know how to cheer right now, but that's why I would get on the cheerleading team so they can teach me how to do it.
Exactly.
And if they teach and taught me, I knew I was a hard enough worker that I was going to go and learn whatever it was they gave me, and I would do it to the best of my ability. And then if they said no, fine, then I'm not supposed to be on. That next year in third grade, I secretly got that application. I didn't tell anybody. Now, nobody told me to do this. I didn't tell anybody that I was trying out. I went to my mom, got her to sign it. I secretly turned it in. And I tried out and I made it.
Yeah.
I made the cheerleading team, but we were cheerleaders, we were dancers, we did parades, we traveled, we did everything. And that was us not having a lot of money. However, I was able to borrow and ask, and I wasn't scared to ask. Yeah, it was embarrassing sometimes, but I wanted it. I wanted it bad enough. And I'm telling you, I never, that's what one of my contest speeches was on, shine bright like a diamond. I was put on that back row most times. But guess what? I understood as a child that my mom wasn't there in practice. My mom wasn't setting any snacks for the girls. My mom usually didn't drop me off at practice. I had to catch a ride from somebody else.
Exactly.
I understood that didn't mean those girls were better than me. It just meant that their moms were there. And they had more support in their lives.
Right.
I didn't. Therefore, an adult was able to do that to me because it was just me and I was a child and they didn't think that I knew any better. But I decided, you know what? It doesn't matter. I know that I'm better than some of these girls, and I don't care if you put me on this back row. I'm going to be seen no matter where I am because I'm just that good.
And so sometimes, Tanesha, sometimes the people who tell us don't, they're afraid that you might outshine them, right? There's sometimes a level of jealousy in that that I've encountered And you can't let that stop you. You still have to try on your own. I did cheerleading, but only later in college, in high school. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was a high school cheerleader. It's funny you said that because I was speaking to someone and we were at a conference and they asked how many, it's a conference for women business owners, all who make over $1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the question was asked, raise your hand, how many of you were cheerleaders? And about 90% of the room went up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next question that was asked was, how many were Girl Scouts? And about 75% of the room raised their hand, right? But these are things that taught you leadership abilities. And we unknowingly transfer those skills that we learned there into what we do today.
Yes. Yes.
Sales, Girl Scouts teaches you sales.
Yes.
Go door to door to sell your cookies.
Yes.
Like the best skill to have if you're a business owner, right? And you didn't call it sales. You just wanted to get a bike. Or
Right. Right. Right.
outcome, the results, not thinking like, I'm going to be using this skill for life.
Yes.
Same thing with cheerleading. You walk into a room, rah, rah, rah. You can hype yourself. You can become the cheerleader to get things done. In networking sessions, you walk in and you're ready to put that
Yes. Yes. Now you're a public speaker who can vocalize really well. Have no problem with that.
from the diaphragm, right? You could yell. They could
Yes. The proper way. Most definitely.
things. It's these little things that, you know, I sit here listening to you, and this is the way we have to think. And no one gave it to you. You did this all on your own. Where did you grow up? What city did you grow up in?
Monroe, Louisiana.
In Louisiana. My husband's from Louisiana.
Yes. I live in Shreveport, Louisiana. That's where I am.
Okay, oh, that's where you are now.
Yes,
Oh,
this is where I
wow.
live. Yes.
I love New Orleans. I know mostly New Orleans, and I've been to the little town that comes from Letcher,
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana. But oh my God, I love New Orleans. I
But
can't.
that's what most people think of when they hear Louisiana, and I tell them, not New Orleans, okay? I am 5 hours from New Orleans. I'm actually literally about 10 minutes from Texas.
Texas.
5 hours from New Orleans. Yes.
No, I used to go to the Essence Music Festival for like 20 years in a row.
Wow.
That's how hooked I was. But
Wow.
no, I love Louisiana. And it's just too hot there. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it is. Hot today, cold. Hot this morning, cold this evening.
So you also talked about being the first to travel out the country, to start a business, you know, to shift the culture. And a lot of what you're saying, I could see how you became the first in that because you laid a foundation for yourself of just moving forward constantly. How do you share this with other people? How do you share this with, you know, whether your family, other young ladies, of giving them back the thing that you've learned?
I would say through hope and inspiration. And I say that, I know that that may sound kind of broad. I'm a social worker, and one of the concepts in social work is you meet the clients where they are.
Yes.
And that was something I had to learn because I was so, like you said, with that cheerleader. And then when I hit middle school, my mom couldn't afford cheerleading. And listen, that same friend came and asked if I wanted to play basketball. The same friend from second grade. We were still friends. And I said, well, how much does it cost? Because I couldn't dance once I hit middle school because my mom just couldn't afford it. You know, it gets much more costly. And I thought, well, and she came and asked, I said, how much does it cost? She said, well, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. I said, well, yeah, I never had an interest in basketball. I never. And I thought, well, I'll just try out and see. And I ended up being in high school one of the starters. And as a freshman, I dressed varsity. So I got in and I learned fast. And ended up enjoying it. However, with all of that I felt that, that I brought out of that in those life situations, I was ready to give somebody else that. I was ready to give other people that, to the point to I was trying to force it in them. But I had to learn. When I saw they were rejecting it, and I thought, but don't you want a better life? Don't you want to do better? But then when you think about it, that in itself could be intimidating.
Yes.
Because it's me telling them where I think they should be or where I want them to be, but they may not be there yet.
You have to motivate and inspire them to do it on their own. Yes.
Right. And even if it's just that you want to continue to live in that neighborhood, but yet you want to get a job, that's where the inspiration and the hope comes in with sharing with that person. So I would say over the years, I found to slow down some and that everybody's goals are not mine. Everybody's ambitions are not mine.
Amen to that.
Find out where they are, Tanesha, no matter how close they are to you, even
and meet them where they are.
Yes, even my 3 nephews, I've always, no matter how old they were or young, I've always treated them as a man, meaning you're your own person. And I really believe that. Even my own children, they're 8, 10, and 11. And I just don't believe that just because we're adults, that we should run their lives.
Yes.
Guide their lives, yes. Give them hope and inspiration, yes. But no matter who it is, I told that to my 11-year-old son one time because something occurred at a summer camp with one of the adults that they, pulled him into a room, asking him certain questions, and he felt he was a child. He felt he had to tell them. And I told him, no, you have control over your mouth.
Yes.
Nobody can force you to say anything. And I wanted him to hear from his parent. If you're ever in a situation and you're uncomfortable with something an adult is asking you, ask them to call your mom.
That's right.
Just
turn it over.
So, and you don't have to, nobody can make you do that. At the end of the day, no matter how big they are, they can't make you do that. So I've learned to help to give people that hope and inspiration where they are in their lives and to help give them that voice. Not me having the voice for them, but to help empower them where they can continue on and hopefully can spread that and share that with the next person.
Yeah, I you know what? I tweeted out this morning a little saying that I thought was really good. It says, never measure your success by someone else's ruler.
I love it.
And I read it a couple of times. I'm like, I think I've always lived my life like that. Like I have my own definition of success, which doesn't measure to other people's definition, right?
Right.
And because some people think success is getting, making certain amount of money or driving a car or getting a big house. And those were not my measures of success.
Right.
Learning actually was a good measure of my success. I wanted to learn. And so in hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best decision. When I was in corporate, I didn't always take promotions, because I wanted to learn. So I would take lateral moves. I wanted to learn customer service. I wanted to learn planning. I wanted to learn this. And so I was taking lateral moves, and people were saying, why aren't you taking that promotion? But I knew I would need all of that later.
Yes. And Sandi, with that, oftentimes people feel that your level of success is based on how many people are following you, how many people you're over.
Yes.
And people can't understand you not jumping on being a supervisor or being over other people, because like you said, that's their level.
Yes.
A measure of success.
And I got dinged for it in corporate, right? When you're in the corporate world, upward mobility is what counts, right? It's what everyone looks at. Oh, she's a manager. She got promoted to a director. She's got this. She's a VP. And that's your measure of success in the corporate world. But you say, I kind of like this manager spot because I'm learning so much in this manager spot. And if I can't be a manager over here doing this, I'm going to move over here because there's a new thing that I want to learn. I got so much pushback on that. Like, you're not trying to move up, and you're not. And I'm like, well, I really am not, because my thing that I want is different than your thing that you want. My moving up will benefit you on your report card, on your appraisal, to say you got me promoted. But that's not really what I want. And so
the question is, excuse me for one moment, the question is, after you reach that managerial position, how far up can you go after that?
Oh, you could go far in corporate, but what are the responsibilities, the things that you have to ask yourself? What are the responsibilities that you get with that? Is that what you really want out of life? What will that additional role teach you? And those are the things I always ask myself, right? Am I going to be happy doing that next thing? If I'm not happy doing it, I'm not doing it.
Well, you have to compromise.
We all have to compromise, but there's a level of compromising that you have to say, okay, I'm not compromising on that. At some point, I raised my niece. You raised your, other people. I raised my niece since birth. And she was a baby. And I wasn't going to compromise on the time with her, where if I took a job a level up, I'd have to travel. I'd have to do all these things that I couldn't be there, right? And so that was my not compromising and my understanding where I was and what I was getting out of it. And I can tell you, every single job that I've ever had, from the time I was 10 years old, I've been working, I've utilized in my business. Like every single job. And I would not give that up, because I think that's what made me successful today, is having all those different roles. You can't tell me anything from how to clean my house, because I've done that. Right? I've done the cleaning jobs, right? I've had a daycare, so I know how to raise other people's kids. I know how to do collections. I could collect my money. I could come get my money when you owe me. I've done that.
Strong voice, Sandi, from cheerleading.
Yes, the confidence to go up and ask people for your money.
Yes.
Where's my money? Right? Which a lot of people don't know how to do.
Right.
I know customer service because I've worked in service. I don't love customer service. I'm not the nicest customer service person, but I know how to make my customers happy and understand the customer's viewpoint. So every job that I've had, I've utilized in some way or the other. Even being a manager, when you have employees, you have to know how to manage your employees.
Yes, and yourself.
And yourself, and you get to having 200 employees and you wonder, oh my God, how am I going to do it? And before you know it, you have 200 employees and you're managing them and you're not thinking, you're not second guessing how you're doing this, right?
Yes.
And it's all that foundation that you laid for yourself.
Right.
Because I guarantee you, 10 years from now, when you finally go sit down and start doing those stuff that we were talking about, you will start to use every single one of those skills that you've developed over time, from your cheerleading to your leadership in basketball, to going out. You know what you could do? Go get grants. You know how to go get grants because you know how to find money when you don't have any.
Yes. Right? I'm working on that right now with our kids' tennis program.
Yes. And that's because you developed that. So I find that fascinating how we, I want to say recycle the skills that we develop, right? Because we continue to use life. So what are some of the things, some of the joys of being first? I ask people that all the time because there are things that make us happy when we think about, gee, I did that, or I can help. So what are some things that you're happy about being the first?
It feels really good on the inside. It really does. I'm not going to give all of this fluff just about, oh, I can make life better for people. And I can, yes, that is a part of it. However, it feels really good to be the first. And along with being the first, you get used to winning. You get used to not winning. You learn both sides.
It's true.
Because when you're the first, of course, anything that you're doing on that road, oftentimes people see the end result, but they don't see the road that it took to get there. They don't see the bumps and bruises you had to encounter along the way. And I feel that helps me step out even more when the next issue comes or when the next situation or season comes. I remember I've been here before. I've done this before, even if it's not the same situation.
Correct.
It's been done before.
You can apply it.
And oftentimes, sometimes doubt will come. Doubt will try to get you and get in your mind and make you feel like you can't do it. Right now, I'm training for a triathlon, my first triathlon. And I've had people, because people, that's why it's so important what you said, that we should not measure our level of success by using someone else's ruler. Because I've had other people to say, oh, you crazy for doing that. Yet I've also had other people who have said, oh, that's easy for you because you already work out. No. I hate running, literally. Like I turned down the track scholarship in college. It's not like I had any other scholarship offers. I turned down a track scholarship. Like that's how much I did not enjoy running.
Yeah.
And then biking is just not my choice of exercise, of workout when I work out. And swimming, I can swim, but I'm not a strong swimmer to be swimming laps like that. And no. I have to push myself. However, that's my gift to myself. Yeah. And I believe with being the first in so many things.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Like you said, it helps us in the different experiences and the training we've received. It helps us in those various experiences, including this triathlon. I'm used to and not saying just in everything, but with being having the experience of being the first, I'm not scared to step out. I'm not scared to go for what I want. Have I hit everything that I wanted? No. You see, I hadn't written my book yet. You see, I hadn't started my podcast yet. But I've learned to be forgiving of myself.
Yes.
Over the years, I had to learn that because
Amen to
I'm
that.
telling you, my standards were so high. Like they were too high for even Superman to reach. They were so high. And I kept finding myself struggling and frustrated and why can't I do this? But then I've just completed like 5 other things. And it's like, Tanesha,
Give
you have to
yourself credit.
Yes, yes. And I learned this is a motto I use and I share with people that I'm mentoring and counseling and training that count to the small wins. Stop and count the small wins.
Yes.
Because even though, like you said, with the 15 minutes, even though you don't have the whole book, you know what, honey? You sat down for those 15 minutes and you got the title today. The small wins, yes, and celebrate
I wrote a
yourself.
page today. I wrote
Yes.
today.
Yes. And oftentimes in life, and I'm still on the first. Oftentimes in life, we can get so caught up on waiting for other people to celebrate us, waiting on other people to say you did a good job, give you a pat on your back. I was used to not having that. I was used to,
Yeah.
I mean, I love my family. However, we don't have an affectionate family. So we didn't get the I love yous and the hugs and the kisses and the any of the good nights, the things and all of that. We
Yes.
didn't get that growing up. So I actually I had to teach myself how to do that for myself
Yes.
and accept and realize, Tanisha, you deserve it. You deserve it. Now, when you could tell yourself that, you're not sitting and waiting on somebody else to do that. And my husband will say in a minute, he'll say, "Oh, I tell her, I give her props,
Props.
but my wife, I don't have to tell her that because she." and,
Yes.
and and it's not conceited. It's really having confidence in and grow and knowing, like you stated, that I have been through cheer. I lived in the projects. I've seen some things and you just apply all of those
Other
things in
things.
people's life. You decide what you're going to keep and what you're going to leave over there. And you don't have to take everything with you. You leave what you don't need, you take what you need, and you keep going and you add it to the next situation. And that's how I see it. We have to take life and things situation by situation, one day at a time.
Time.
No, I'm not saying don't prepare. Yes, we want to be prepared for the future. I've never faced this one in particular before, but because all of those other experiences that I faced, I've stepped out before several times. I got stuck in Mexico for like 3 weeks, and like I have experiences, so I believe I can handle some water, some running, and a bike. You just got to train and plan for it, like you said.
I'm not taking on that water. I can barely swim.
Come on, Sandy. Come on, Sandy. You can do it with me.
Let me tell you, for me to get to the level of swimming where I am, it's taken practically my whole life.
Mhm.
And I've taken swimming classes. This is so funny. I signed up for swimming for my first swimming class with a friend. And it took me, let's say, it was a package of 5 swimming lessons. I did not even go in the water after the 5th swimming lesson. I still didn't make it into the water. This is how terrified I was, right? But
Mhm.
I follow my own advice, one thing at a time, 15 minutes at a time, right?
Mhm. Okay.
So I would get in the water, just get in the water
Mhm.
for 15 minutes. And I'm like, I'm good. And then the next time I would stay an extra 15 minutes. And
Mhm.
then I progressed to putting my face in the water
Okay, Sandy.
to get my face used to being in the water and to get water in my ears and not like freak out. So I did this 15 minutes at a time
Mm.
over years before I actually started to say, I'm not going to drown if I put my head underwater, right? And I had a great swim teacher because he was patient. And he decided, Sandy, you need goggles because I wouldn't open my eyes up underwater.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you've got to get goggles. I want you to get earplugs. I want you to get like the cat, like all the accoutrements that helps you to feel comfortable in the water.
Right.
And then, you know, Black girls have the hair thing.
Oh, the hair thing. I'm looking for a swim cap right now.
Didn't even have the hair thing at the time because my hair was natural. So I just little by little said, I'm going to do this. And then a friend of mine almost drowned right in front of me, and he was a lifeguard. And he caught a cramp, and I couldn't help him.
Mm.
We were in a swimming pool, luckily, and I started screaming and ran to get help. And they had to pump him and do all this stuff because he caught a cramp.
Mm-hmm.
And right then and there, I said, I'm going to learn this.
Yes.
That was my catalyst to say, I'm going to at least learn how to save myself.
Yes.
I could be in the water and I need, you know, and Lauren was little and I'm like, oh my God, what if that was Lauren? I couldn't even jump in to do anything, right?
Right.
So some of these things you have to do in small increments, but
Right.
something might happen that pushes you.
Yes.
Because that was my push. I was back at the swimming pool the next day.
Enough is enough. Let's go.
Let's go. You know, I am going to swim to the end of that pool. Like, and I did it. I actually
Yes, Sandy.
and said, I am determined to do this. And the only thing I can't do really well is like dog paddle. I don't know why. I can't.
Sandy, I can't either. I can't either. I said if I swim to that deep end, I better keep swimming. I better not run out of breath.
That's right.
Until I touch the end, because I never learned. And I took swim lessons both at Grambling and ULM, and I could dive in, go all the way to the bottom in the deep end to get the rock, bring it back up, but I was going right to that side to take it back to the side. I never learned how to float. I don't know what it is about that floating and the treading water, and I can do it, but it's so fast. I run out of breath. I may as well just stop swimming.
Yeah. So, and I'm definitely, I went to sign back up, but now with COVID, adults can only go at 6 a.m. I'm like,
Oh,
kidding me? I can't do that. But I'm going to be persistent. You know, I swim well enough, but I'm by nowhere would try a triathlon like you are.
not yet, huh, Sandy? And you know, that's why I put my boys in, because I wanted to just have them prepared as much as possible for life in every way I knew.
Yes.
So I could give them those tools, the exact tools we're talking about.
Yes.
To be able to give them those tools. And not only in case you get, there was actually a case here that happened. I'm sure you probably heard of it. There were about six children who, it was a family of roughly six, I believe. There were about six that drowned in the lake. The family were out swimming, and those undercurrents.
Yeah.
And what it was were they were trying to save each other.
Oh
So
no.
that's how some died. Yes. And I would say that I had close connection with them, with this family. And it was
Oh my gosh.
yes. And after that, they started programs. They started a program here in our area for pool safety, water safety.
Yes, they have
And
that
they would
too.
take, I believe it's one grade here, maybe second, third grade. They take all of the children from school for an entire week. And it's not necessarily swim lessons, but it's more so kind of survival skills
Right.
around the water, in the water. If you get in the water, this is what you need to do, those types of things. But anyway, I just believe in ensuring our boys have that. And as much as they need to be successful, and if they got into a situation, they could handle themselves. And because I'm not going to always be there. I just think
Right.
of, and one of the things that helps me with them is I see them as somebody's husband, pastor, business owner. Like, that is what I see them as right now. And that's how I put things into them, because I've never experienced, I don't have an adult child, but I do know that time goes by really fast.
Yes,
And
it
we don't have a
does.
lot of time. And so that was one of those areas that that I didn't compromise on. That you're taking swim, whether you want to, you can decide if you want to take soccer or not, but swim, no, you're doing swim. And
Yeah,
then also the other side of that is the joys I get to have and appreciate and experience due to me being able to swim. Like, I went snorkeling in Jamaica. They'll have to sit on the boat and watch me snorkel.
right.
It because if even though they'll give you a life jacket, if you're not comfortable with the water and can't swim, you're not about to get in this huge ocean
That's
where you
right.
can't do anything.
One
You
day I
know,
have to tell you my snorkeling story. We don't have any time here for my snorkeling story, but you're absolutely right. So what are some of the pitfalls of being first? What are some of the bad side of things of being first that you don't like?
I would say it can be lonely at times, because you're paving the way for somebody else behind.
Yeah.
However, there are very few people who are going to, they may start with you. There are very few people who's going to really burn the midnight oil.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a physical stance, but I mean see it all the way through.
That's true.
Stick with it no matter what. And before you know it, you look up and you're probably the only one there. And then not only that, the ones who dropped off are trying to pull you off as well in some shape, form, or fashion.
Ah, yes, crab in the barrel. I that's something I really want to talk about too at some other time, because there are always people who they see you trying to get out, and their own fears, right? Of,
Yes,
oh, Tanisha's gonna leave me behind. If she starts doing this, I'm not going to be her friend anymore, because she's gonna get new friends. And so they'll discourage you. They'll actually discourage you from
right,
moving forward. Instead of saying, go ahead, girl, go try your thing. It's like, you don't want to do that. Why you want to do that? Who you think you are doing that? And you have to really think when that happens. Like, who am I going to report to? As my husband says, the pastor says. Who do you report to? Do you report to God, or do you report to man?
right.
And you have to stop in those moments and say, you know what? You're my friend. You're still going to be my friend, but I've got to do this thing.
Yes,
This is my destiny. This is where my life is leading me. And I can take you with me if you choose to.
yes,
If you choose to stay where you are, I'll deal with you where you are. But
right,
don't put your measures of success on me, right?
right.
And you still got to do your own thing. So I've spoken to people who say, I didn't do that because my mom didn't want me to do that, or my so and so didn't want me to do that. My husband, that's another one. My husband didn't want me to do that. And that's so sad because it's really limiting who you are.
Yes. And Sandy, I would have to say the another one with you made me think of this. Another one is rejection, because you often get that, and there are places that I've been. One of the churches we were for years. I was the rebellious one, and Sandy is just, and along the way you ask yourself, and just as I continue to grow in life, it doesn't just mean that it's all successful people who have this going on. And I'm going to share with you what I'm speaking of. However, it's just my temperament. It's just who I am. And I found that over the years, people try to break me from that.
Yes.
But it was such a struggle for me. And I was always just used to being me. I was used to being free, living a life of freedom, being myself, helping as many people as I can along the way with it. But it's like, if you choose not to go, I'm still going. I hope you come. And that is being you, being yourself. And I'm just, with my temperament, I kind of go against the grain.
Yeah.
And it's not intentionally. It's just, if let's say we were at our former church, and I don't believe in tradition. It's hard for me to just get in and like, let's go.
We must have been sisters in another life.
Oh my, Sandy. And I wouldn't be ugly about it or anything. And I understood, by that time I was understanding that, okay, you have to meet people where they are, and they like tradition. And I would just, okay, if it's going to take us all weekend to do this, I may say, hey guys, what do you think about us trying like this, or trying to implement?
Yeah.
Now, we've always done it like this, and you can't come here and change. I'm thinking, right? I mean, I'd rather be here one day than the whole weekend if possible. But I've gotten that a lot, and that's not a comfortable place to be in. It doesn't feel good. I feel like a loner sometimes. However, just this inner part of me,
Gotta do your thing.
Yeah, I can't kick it. Now I do what I need to do to get along. And that was the young lady I shared within our ministry. And she was frustrated about I found out later from my husband. She told him that she's like, yeah, I'm gonna do such and such before Pastor T get me. Before, I'm thinking like, get you? What do you mean? I'm thinking like, no, she asked for the accountability.
Yeah.
Like, she'll be late for church all the time. And she said she wanted to start being on time. And she asked if I would help her. And I would do small things like the morning, a simple text, rise and shine, beautiful.
Yes.
How are your kids going? And like, probably start the night before. Hey, you guys got your clothes out, things out for you. Literally just like that. And I'm thinking like, how did you get that about? It was something about me riding her. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
For it. So I thought, you know what? Y'all can have it. You girl, look, I'm not calling you anymore. Just be late all the time. Go ahead. But learning those things in life. So what I'm saying is, by then I learned that just because people say they want it, they're not really ready to go through the process to do what it takes to get it.
Yes.
And then you can end up becoming the enemy.
Yes.
To that person. So
but
learning.
I have to say, with that being ready, COVID really taught us all a lesson, because I wanted to do Zoom church for quite a while. And we had started doing Bible study on Zoom, and people were all upset when we started. Like, why aren't we meeting in person? I said, well, I have a class that I'm teaching. I cannot get there in time. And this way I could finish my class and jump right on to Bible study.
Right.
So we started having Bible study by Zoom, and they loved it. So when COVID happened,
wow,
and church had to shut down, people were already familiar with Zoom. And so
Already
when
in
we had to switch over to doing church completely on Zoom and not in person, they were like, oh, what are you talking about? Our church does Zoom. We know how to do Zoom.
Yes.
And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes we learn lessons out of despair and we'll fight against it. And all of a sudden, one day you'll realize, thank God I learned how to do that.
Yes.
Teaching churches how to do Zoom. I was teaching business owners how to do Zoom, like day and night, because all of a sudden the world changed and they weren't ready to change with it. They hadn't
Right.
acquired those skills. So I totally understand what you mean about that and about the rejection, but you still have to just try and move forward. We've been talking, girl, like we've known each other for 50 years.
It's been nice. I appreciate it.
Has. And thank you. I thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for doing this. And it's great to meet you. And next time well, I haven't been traveling much, but next time I roll through Louisiana.
No, say Shreveport, because I'll find you in New Orleans. You'll be talking about Tanesha, I'm in New Orleans. Remember, Sandy, you're 5 hours from me.
No. I go to, we have, my husband has family reunions in Houston. We have family reunions like all over. So we come through, we roll through different places. And if you come up to New York, you make sure you hit me up for sure.
Sandy, you were in New York?
I'm in Brooklyn.
I didn't know you were in New York.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm a Brooklyn girl. I've lived there my whole life.
I'm going to hit you up then, Sandy, because I'm going to have to come back. I came there some years ago. I went to a dance intensive, a 3-week dance intensive at Martha Graham's dance studio.
Yes.
And then I went and took classes at Ailey as well while I was there.
Nice.
Yes.
I don't miss Alvin Ailey every year. That's been 35 years of going to Alvin Ailey every single year. That's my
wow.
So
that was my first and last time being there, but I really enjoyed it. I'm ready to come back, so I'll definitely hit you up. Okay, well, I really enjoyed it and I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. This is Dr. Sandy. Thank you so much for sharing your journey on the first, where no two stories are alike, even if the circumstances are similar. Let this discussion serve as inspiration for others to show what's possible, and more importantly, to produce seconds and thirds.